Pumpkin punched open the door. Pumpkin wants to learn about Node. Say hello, Pumpkin.
Hello.
If you're wondering about Node.js, what it is, what you can do with it, and why you should care, you're not alone. In fact, it's a topic which comes up frequently in the Scrimba community. Recently, senior developer Michael joined us on our live stream to give us a quick Node 101 to get us up to speed on Node and even demo making a quick app with it. The full stream is an hour long, but I've extracted the best bits for you to enjoy in this short video. Let's get into it. My first question is, what is Node?
Node is a JavaScript runtime. Think of runtime, it's like area where your code runs. So there are two runtime. Well, there are many runtimes, but the main two is V8 or like browser runtime, like your Chromium, like Chrome, Brave, and so on. A lot of other browsers. JavaScript runs in the browser, or it runs in Node. And Node is just like an alternative to run in the browser. So, when you open your console, your JavaScript runs in the console, and that's browser runtime. But when you type in the command line on your PC or your MacBook, that's you're running in Node.
What are use cases for Node?
Well, basically, if you want the code to run anywhere but the browser, it will run in Node. So if you want to run your code on a Raspberry Pi, on a laptop, well, Raspberry Pi mainly, that's like if you want JavaScript to run in your fridge, or you want to run it...
Who doesn't?
Yeah, like a traffic light camera or something. Let's say that's what Node will hopefully allow you to do.
So you can set up smart plugs in our house, so I don't worry about leaving the iron on.
I don't know how smart plugs work, but if they support Node as runtime, then yeah, you can do that.
How do I set up Node?
Well, you just go to the official website over here, and whatever system you're using, Windows, Mac, or maybe you want Linux or whatever. So basically, find it, click on it, download it, install it, done. It's there.
Oh, that sounds easy.
Yeah, it's actually pretty straightforward. And then once you install it, you would just say Node version, and it should output something there. There you go. For this stream, I've created this little repo. In the comments, here's the link to that repository if you want to follow along. But I would suggest that you follow along after the stream. Try to recreate it yourself. In the meantime, I've got right at the end of prerequisites, you basically type in a couple of things to double check that you've got installed. And I have like PSQL is Postgres. So there you go. Postgres is also installed in this on Leanne's machine. So
why is Postgres?
Postgres is a relational database, basically SQL. If there is like MySQL, there is whatever they call it from Microsoft, SQL Server, I think it's called. Postgres and MySQL are like the two most popular ones. We'll just go with Postgres because I use it at work. But if you use MySQL, it should be pretty similar. Let us just very quickly start with, I've got this Node stream folder, and then I'll just open VS Code in that folder. We will start with completely empty folder and the rest of it. The first thing we'll need to do is you'll need to set up initial project, so init-y. So I'll create this package.json file, and as you can see, it will be like just a couple of bits, like name of the package and so on. So what we'll do, we need to install Express. So npm I Express, and we'll need to install SQL driver for later, but it's called PG, Postgres. And then from there, once we installed it, you can see that we already have Node modules and we already have package.json. So what we need to do is we'll just create index.js. Or you can call it app.js, you can call it server.js. People call it different things, but your main file, basically. From there, you'll have const express. You basically import express. And then you can say const app equals express. You basically call it. So you call the framework, and it will create you like an instance of your application. Then you would say const. We also want to listen. So when the application starts, we want to say, can you please do it on this particular port on our machine?
Does it matter which one you do?
I mean, like, as long as they're not under something like 1,000, because they're like system reserved. So normally people go for like 3,000 or 8080, these are like the I mean, it could be 4,000, 5,000, and so on. So pick yours. And then we'll just very straightforwardly go app.listen. So basically say, listen to this port that we've just provided above. And then you can see that it needs to give it a callback. So as soon as it starts up and it's successful, I'll just say, we are. This is kind of a bit of boilerplate because most apps say that. So we will listen on port, and then we just say port. Yeah.
Hey.
So we just listen on that port, and then when we do that, all you need to do now, you just say to start the application, you say node. Actually, maybe I can just do it inside of this terminal. There we go. So I'll just say node, and I just give it index.js. Okay, and there we go. So it says listening on port 3000.
Node app, I guess, working.
Yeah, you have that Node app working, but it's a little bit boring just to have a Node app. It just listens on the port, right? So
not the most useful app.
Yeah, it doesn't really do much. So what you can do is you can say if you're familiar with like interacting with APIs, you normally do it through HTTP verbs. So like get, post, put, patch, delete, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So normally you expose endpoints, and you expose them with particular verbs, HTTP verbs. So what you say is, you can say HTTP, so app.get. So that means that this application will listen for GET requests. And the first route is you give it a route, so where. And we'll say on the route, we'll listen to that. We'll also, as soon as you call localhost 3000, and you just localhost 3000, we'll output something, but
what are we going to output?
Well, I'll explain this. I'll explain this bit in a second, but we're not going to use it for now. So, but what we're going to output is, we'll just say response send hello peeps, because that's what people are called in the Scrimba community. So whoever's watching, there you go. Response saying hello peeps. There you go. You can also see that. Okay, so now let's just reload our app. Listening on port. If I start a new terminal, I'll just use curl for now.
Curl.
So I'll just say localhost 3000, and there you go. And I got the response back. Hello peeps. Awesome. As a promise, we will come back to this. So when you're using app.get, Express allows you to. The first one is where you are calling, and then the second argument after the comma is a callback. That kind of like, it's a bit of Express magic that you have the request that you are sending available here, and the response is the second argument. So you're saying that whenever you want to respond to a particular Express call, you will say response, send, and then you can provide whatever you want to provide. So in this particular case, it's a string. We are saying just, respond with this particular string. So whenever I call, you can see here, what I did is basically I called root like this, and I got a response, which is a string. Also, you notice that every time I make a change, I need to reload, I need to stop the server and then start it again. So that's a bit of a drag. Mm-hmm. And that's why people normally install this package called Nodemon. Nodemon, basically, it's like, like when you develop React, it's called hot reloading, where you make a change, you save it, and then it restarts the whole thing for you. It's like
live reload.
Yeah, it's like live reload, exactly. So this is basically, Nodemon is the package that allows live reload in Express. So we'll just add the little script here after we've installed it. People normally call it dev. And what you do is basically say, just like previously we used to say node index.js, but because we've installed Nodemon to do hot reload, we'll just say Nodemon index.js, same thing, and then we'll just say npm run dev. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one, npm run dev. Okay, Nodemon, there you go. We got something like that, and now we can just try that it works. So hello, awesome peeps. Okay, and there you go. You just saw that down there. It reloaded it. And if I just curl it back, okay, we got it. So now we have some basic, but it would be nice to have some interactivity. So the next one we'll do is explore get. I mentioned earlier that you can also have app.post, right? And you can say app.delete, many options. But anyway, we'll probably go for your favorite thing then, and that is
My favorite thing?
Yeah, cats. Your favorite thing. Yeah. So every backend application normally what it does is like it receives some data, processes it, and then stores it, and then on request it returns you that data and so on. So think about like Airbnb. What it does, it basically holds listings inside of some database, and then when you go to the main page, it retrieves those lists from the database, shows it to you, and then you interact with that data. So the core part of the backend is to store the data and then return it back. First of all, let's store the data in a variable.
So you're actually making a database of cats, just to be clear here.
Well, I'm not writing my own database engine. No, I'm just storing cats inside of a JavaScript object.
Oh, right, because there is a command called cat. So I thought there was something similar to that. No. Okay.
Oh, no, not concatenate. I mean actual meow
Right
cats.
now, we're writing some data about cats, if you're wondering.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Now we've cleared that up. Right.
Yeah, so normally all the data is, like whenever you call an API, it returns you an array with objects. So we'll return an array, and we'll say, well, a cat normally has a name of, let's go for our cat first.
Pumpkin.
Yes, we'll go for pumpkin. And then
Wait.
I was going for something a bit more flattering, like age. But we can go for his weight if you want, but and then like color, like cedar cat. There you go. I was like, what's like a black and white color? And I was like,
suit cat.
Yeah, I was like dinner suit cat, zebra cat. The zebra cat doesn't. I mean, zebra cat is awesome, but. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we've got our little database variable with cats. So let's just say that what we want is we want to have an endpoint that when we call it, it returns us the cats, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say we have cats, and as we learned before, we basically say request response, and then with that request response, what we need to do is we want to say response.status like 200, and we want to return the JSON file with cats. So that's how you return the JSON from the GET request.
My Kalimba says it's not a database; it's a catabase.
Yes.
Yes.
So we'll just create a very quick HTTP file. I normally create HTTP files with like raw HTTP requests for my. So instead of Postman. I use just HTTP REST client in VS Code. It's this extension, REST client, over here. So when you install it, what you can do then is you can just write get request, and you can say localhost 3000 slash, well, let's try it, just localhost 3000. Of course, I forgot, HTTP, there we go. Okay, we got hello awesome peeps.
Mm.
Then this extension allows you to create variables. So normally what I do is I just create a host variable. And then I say host, just to try this again. Okay, yeah, it worked. Then I separate another one. And I create another GET request. But this time, let's call for cats. Cats, and there we go. We got our array of objects which have pumpkin in it.
Can you run through what line 5 does again?
So run line 5 basically calls this API, and it goes down the route of cats. So I call get request to cats.
All right, and then it puts it in HTTP 1.1.
Yeah, so that's the version of HTTP protocol, and this is the response, which is the response you get is basically this part response. So Express gives you this like variable response, object, response object that you can then say status and you add JSON to it, and then it returns the whole thing. And this is what you see here. So we've got the cats. So now what if we want to create cats? Somebody came to us and said, oh, I love your cat application. Can I add my cats to it? And we'll be like, of course you can. And when you post something, the way you're going to post that request, so let me just show you. You'll say post, right? And then you'll say to this address, cats, right? Mm-hmm. It'll be the same one because I've just written it here.
Yep.
Post to cats. So when I post to cats, what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide it with an object, and I'm just going to say, for example, name, I don't know.
Laura Mipsum.
Albie.
That would be a good name for a cat.
Laura Mipsum. Age 4. No, it's not, sorry. Yeah, your parents got a cat, Albie. That's probably why I'm writing Albie.
Yeah, and he is 12.
And he's 12. Okay, cool. Well, subconsciously, see, I remember all the cats. And what's his color? What's he like?
Black.
Okay. Good. So I just write black. There we go. So for now, this doesn't really do anything. So when we send it, you will get a 404 not found because like you can't post the cats because we haven't finished this in any way.
Remember that, people. You can't post cats.
Yeah, you can't post cats. So what we're going to do is we're going to create this. Like, how do we process this post request? And the first thing you need to do is, I send you the request with this body. So I need to access this body. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm just going to say, like object destructuring. So name, age, and color. And I'm going to take it from request body. Mm-hmm. And as I mentioned, as I promised before, I can just say request.body. So Express will load this object inside of this object, so I can access it here. Yeah, so it will be request.body.name, request.body.age, request.body.color, right? But normally, let's just console log request.body and see what's up. Do we have that running? Yes, we do. So when I make this push request, it will give me an error. And when I have a look, it says cannot destructure property name request body as it is undefined. So request body is undefined for some reason. And the reason for that is because Express by default doesn't pass JSON. So by default, Express doesn't recognize this as JSON. So what you need to do is you basically need to say app.use. In backend, it's called middleware, where you basically give it a function that will do the config and do the magic of making things work in terms of request response. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say express.json. And when you watch backend tutorials, they'll just type this up and they're not going to explain why. It's just kind of part of everyone's habit now. But basically what it does is this line allows Express to understand JSON inside of a body.
So you have to do a similar thing when you call an API in JavaScript, don't you?
Yeah, so I've done that, but I think what I have forgotten is to provide a header, which is accept application JSON. I basically need to tell the API that that's what it is, and then the middleware content type application JSON. There we go. Basically what I'm saying to the server is that whatever I'm sending you is JSON, and I will want to receive JSON back. The current API doesn't really do anything with this header, but it's just good practice to do it. Okay, let's try again. Okay, there we go. So we just saw...
Albie has entered the building!
Yay!
How much JavaScript do you need to know to start doing Node?
As soon as you know functions and promises, API. So if you finished module 7 API in frontend career path,
I think so.
Then you're probably kind of ready to, you can dive in. You will need to learn HTTP and stuff, but there are quite a few really good blog articles on the subject. So
how complicated is Node when compared to frontend JS or React?
They're kind of different. It's like how different is backend from frontend. Well, you don't have to worry about CSS. That's
That's a big plus.
Yeah, but then you have to worry about SQL. So, yeah, it's kind of, whatever, pick your enemies, I guess.
That's all for our Node 101. I hope you enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments what type of topics you'd like to see in our live streams next, and don't forget to hit subscribe for more top tips videos like these. See you next time.